Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, and freaks of nature of all ages. My name is Brian Bad Hippie Jackson, and welcome back to Let's Build. Now, we're not doing Treasures of the Dead in this one. What we're going to be doing is working with something a little bit different. Some of you guys, a lot of you guys, have been really wanting me to start getting into the use of weapons and enemies, and with Treasures of the Dead, that's a top-down, and weapons and enemies are going to require some special coding that I'm not ready to put into the game yet. So we're not going to be able to work with those kinds of things in Treasures of the Dead yet, but we can work with those kinds of things in a first-person view. So the other thing some of you guys were wanting to know how to do is how to build multiplayer maps as well, such as free-for-all deathmatch, team deathmatch, and capture the flag. And UDK does have very, very good default settings for deathmatch and capture the flag. So we're going to be doing that. We're also going to be touching on a resource that not a lot of independent developers know about, or if they do know about it, they don't want to use it because for whatever reason. Maybe it's not realistic enough, but you guys know me. I'm not really big on massively realistic textures and materials and things like that, and I'll get into that further as we go along. But what we're going to do is go down here and we are going to open Google SketchUp. There we go. Now when it first comes up, we got SketchUp Make, which is the free version of SketchUp. Okay, now when you first download SketchUp, if you've never done it before, you will get the pro version of SketchUp for a free 30-day trial. After 30 days, it's going to convert to SketchUp Make, which is the free version. You can, of course, buy SketchUp Pro anytime you want to. The biggest difference I have found, and there's a lot of differences, but SketchUp Make is absolutely fine for what I want to do. The biggest difference I have found, so let's click Start Using SketchUp. Alright, let's ignore those extensions because I don't need any of them. The biggest difference I have found is if you go to File and Export, you can export as a 3D model. You can also get Pro 3D exporters, but by default in SketchUp Make, you are limited to either a Google Earth file, which I will never use, or a Collada DAE file. The Pro version includes OBJ and FBX. If you're working with UDK as we are, you need your model to be an FBX. Now this is not a big issue with me, as I also have Blender. So I can export my model from SketchUp as a DAE and then take that DAE into Blender and convert it to an FBX that is optimized for use in UDK. If you're using something like Unity, then the DAE is going to work just fine for you because Unity will accept DAE files. But since we're using UDK, we're going to need to have a little bit of an extra process so that we can convert it into an FBX as well. Now I'm going to go over to File, I'm going to click Open, I'm going to browse my Game and Animation folder, I'm going to open my SketchUp folder, and all of these are free models that are available on the Google Warehouse that can be used for free. So let's go ahead and pick, we don't want a large map, but we don't want an incredibly small map either. We want something that's going to make a good multiplayer map where you can go beat people up, or you can train, or you can whatever. So I think what we're going to go with is probably, let's just go ahead and get one of these Counter-Strike maps, because Counter-Strike is a good deal. It's it's a great game. It's a popular game, and so let's go ahead and just pop open, I don't know, Indust, one of the Dust maps. That'll work for me. And we'll open up this dust map. Now this is the dust map that we're going to be using, and we're going to convert this into an we're going to export it as a DAE, and then we're going to take it into Blender and convert it as an FBX. Now there are a few things that we're going to need to do with this before we convert it. Now if you want to, for instance, all of these boxes and crates and stuff can be removed. If you don't want them, you can take them out. If you do want them, you can leave them in. Some of the things that I don't want in here is, for instance, there are areas where we have these blue wall thingies over here. That little bad boy. So let's go ahead and zoom in on it a little bit. Okay, and this is actually supposed to represent a transparency or a collider, but we don't want this here because if we look in this back area where this van is, there's already plenty of walls, so that's just going to open us up a little bit more space, or we can use it as a spawn area. So what we're going to do is select this wall thingy, we're going to hit Control X and get rid of it, but we're also going to notice that we have the outlines still left, and we don't want those either, so select that, Control X, get the one running down this wall, and right there, get rid of those, and then the one on the ground, we'll get rid of it. Now also what we're going to see is it's going to be hard to get back through here unless we jump over these boxes, so let's go ahead and 86 these barrels, and that's going to give us an opening that we can walk through and get into this area with the van. We may or may not take the van out, just depending whether or not we want to put some other kind of pickup in. As a matter of fact, I think I want to get rid of the van because it's just kind of out of place there, and we could put like maybe a weapon pickup or something back in there. So I would go through and remove anything I don't want. Those blue colliders that we don't need. Any area I want open, I can remove stuff. I don't particularly like, oh crap. Zoom it out, zoom it out, zoom it out so I can get back into where I was. I don't particularly like that barrel being half buried, so I'm going to 86 it. And then back behind here, I think I want to get rid of poop. I think I want to get rid of these boxes. And that way I can put a pickup back there if I choose. And let's go ahead and get rid of these barrel bunches as well. We might just leave, now we'll get rid of that one too. And we can put some kind of weapon pickup or even possibly a spawn point back in there. So that's what we're going to do with that. We're just going to go ahead and go through and get rid of all the stuff that we don't need. And then we will save it as a DAE, and then we will go back through and in Blender we will convert it to an FBX. Now there is going to be some stuff in here indoors that we're going to need to change, and this is just one of those things where I know from experience because I've tried this before. This set of stairs over here, right here, is going to give you problems. It's just because of the size of the stairway, it's going to give you some issues in being able to get up them, but we will fix that when we get into UDK. What we're going to do when we get into UDK is we're going to create an invisible collider that we're going to run up at an angle up these stairs, so it's going to reduce the height of the stairs and you don't get hung up on them. Alright, so that's basically all we need to do for that right now. We've pretty much gotten rid of the blue thingies that we don't need. I don't think there's any more. We're going to look. If I screw it up, I'll come back in later off camera and fix it. And so we're just going to take it just like that. We're going to go to File. We're going to go to Export, 3D Model. We're going to go ahead and leave the name the way it is, and we need to select our game and animation. We're going to go to SketchUp. We're going to open the DAE. Cobalt City is not something that I need, but we're going to go ahead and hit Export, and that's going to export the DAE file. Alright. Okay, and now that we've done that, we've got Blender open, so we can go ahead and get in and convert our DAE to an FBX. But the first thing we want to do is take that lamp that we've got there, hit X in this window, and it will give us the option to delete that lamp because we're not going to need it. Now we're going to go up to File. We're going to go to Import Collada DAE, which is the default. We're going to go to Documents, Game and Animation, SketchUp, DAE, and there is our Indust DAE. It's only a 4 megabyte file, so it works pretty good. And Import Collada. Now we're going to hit Control C or Shift C, which is going to zoom us out. Now we're not going to worry about the materials being attached to this or not. We can fix that in UDK. We can also fix it here. Let's see, what are we looking at? We are in Material, Texture. Let's go ahead and, because the way this works is everything is just so many different little blah blah blah. It's broken down into so many small parts, and this is one reason a lot of people don't work with converting Google SketchUp files into FBX for games, because the material, depending upon who made the model, the materials are wow. It's just, yeah, absolutely wow. But that's okay, we can still do it. It's really not a difficult thing, it's just a little bit time consuming. So now that we've got that there, we're going to go to File, we're going to go to Export, and we're going to export as an FBX. Now over here on the right side we have our export options. Let's close all that up, and so we can pull this up and see everything a little bit better. Recent work, bookmarks we don't need, there we go. And so what we want to do is, I have my operator preset. Now we want to do FBX binary, the 7.4 binary, and all we want to export is geometries. We don't want to apply anything from the main. We don't have any armatures. There's no animations. We don't really need modifiers because we brought it in as a straight DAE, so we didn't apply any modifiers, so we can turn apply modifiers off. And for smoothing, we want to go ahead and hit let's see, do we want tangent space or not? No, we don't. We just want to go ahead and export our smoothing on our normals. Let's smooth the edges. There we go, right there. And that is what we're going to need for our export. So once again, we're going to go into Animation, SketchUp, and we're going to, let's see, what was the name of it? Indust/1. So Indust_1. And it's automatically going to give it the FBX, and then we're going to hit export. And that's a done deal right there. We've exported our FBX. Okay, and that's it. Now I do have UDK open right now, but we're going to get into importing the model in the next episode or two. What we're going to do in the next episode is, when we import this model, because of the way we exported it out of Blender without the textures and materials being in the proper place where they're supposed to be, it's going to import in with those solid colors that we saw in Blender. So we're going to have to apply the texture materials in UDK. Now there's a couple of reasons I did it the way I did it. One, it's going to take a long time to get those textures and materials done up properly in Blender, and secondly, none of those texture materials are going to have normal maps. So we're going to have to create normal maps for every one of those textures individually before we import them into UDK. And then when we bring them into UDK, we're going to have to take the diffuse textures and the normal map textures and create brand new materials. So basically, since we have that process we have to go through anyway, why spend that amount of time in Blender doing that when we're just going to have to repeat that process in UDK pretty much? It's just, it actually does save a large amount of time. But with that said, in the next episode, we're going to pop open GIMP. We're going to learn how to make some normal maps. We're going to fix our textures to make sure that everything is right, because also in UDK will only import power of 2 textures to be used as a texture for materials. If it's not a power of 2, or if it is in a JPEG format, it is either going to not import it, or it's going to import it as a streamed air asset, and those are really, really hard to work with. So we're going to take GIMP, we're going to make sure that all of the textures we need are power of 2 textures, and I will explain what those are when we get into doing it. And we're going to make sure they're sized properly and that they all have normal maps. And then in the episode after that, we will import our model, and we will apply make our materials and apply all of our texture materials. But until then, please do not forget to check the links in the description below for the Disabled American Veterans and the Wounded Warriors Project. Please help support our veterans. If you liked the video, then hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends and family to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Please don't forget to leave a comment. They are always welcome, good, bad, or somewhere in between. Thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And until next time, this is Brian Bad Hippie Jackson saying peace, love, clean underwear, and happy gaming.